during the month of September, which is Workforce Development Month, Leading Age Maryland is highlighting workforce development efforts across the aging services sector. There are many inspiring and encouraging stories of how our member organizations have grown employees from within their ranks. Joining me today is Jessica Hall from Heron Point to share her experience. So, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell me a bit more about your professional background, what you studied in school, and how you got into the field of aging services?
Well, first, thank you, Allison, for having me. I'm excited to tell my story, especially, given workforce development and the importance of that. So a little bit about myself, the background. I started at Heron Point in 2001 as a nursing assistant with the thought and idea that I was going to continue my education and become a nurse. That was my goal. I knew I had a goal in my mind, and that was what it was going to be. So I came to Heron Point. I had just gotten my CNA license, and I never left, if I can say that. That just speaks volumes because it's a wonderful community. I really enjoyed working with older adults, and I just felt like, I need to, always let your conscience be your guide. So I decided to stay, and initially was going to continue to get my LPN license. But then I kind of switched and went into the business aspect of healthcare. So that's how my journey began. I got my associate's degree at Chesapeake College with a associate's in science, applied science, and business management. And then several years later, I decided to go back to school and got my bachelor's degree from Wilmington University in organizational management. And I've been in aging almost 24 years,
Wow.
24 years. So many of the residents here at Heron Point tell me I was born and raised here. I was young when I started, which I appreciate that comment. But so that's kind of how I got involved in aging services. But what drove me to, become a nursing assistant were both of my grandmothers. One of my father's mother had throat cancer, and my mom's mother had pancreatic cancer at the same time.
Wow.
They had passed away a day apart. And, I remember having that conversation with my mom's mom at her, bedside. And she says, follow your heart, give back. You were born to take care of people. You've always been a caretaker. You had that natural instinct. So that's kind of what really inspired me to go into like nursing school at that time. So I got my nursing assistant license and figured working in, geriatrics kind of starting before I headed to college would be a good starting point for me, but I never left. So that's where it all began.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jessica. And so it sounds like you had different opportunities to kind of grow while at Heron Point because you've been there for many years. So what opportunities did your organization give you to help you grow and develop?
So, throughout my career here at Heron Point, I will say I'm very fortunate to be part of an organization that values and encourages employee growth. They offered me, opportunities and chances to join leadership programs, to acquire those vital skills necessary for departmental management. They supported me while I went back to school with, schedule flexibility, tuition reimbursement, scholarship opportunities. And I also had a mentor. I had a leader within the organization who was kind of like my succession plan, who really believed in me and supported me throughout my college career and, professionally. They were there right by my side, like the little person that sits on your shoulder and saying, you got this. So to me, that I will always value and appreciate because I've never, working at Heron Point for so long, like I said, finding a leader who's willing to invest in their team members is like the start. Someone seen something in me and invested their time to me. And I greatly appreciate that, really. So it's really helped me kind of give back and to find members who want to grow and foster the skills and talents that they have.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Having that kind of a mentor is so key. What?
Is this
Walk me through kind of the progression. So you started as a nursing assistant, and then you got your degree in, you said, organizational management. And
Yes.
then kind of what are the different roles that you've had now being the executive director?
So this is going to be a long story. But I started out the nursing assistant in 2001, and then I went into the unit clerk role, which is kind of like a health center coordinator on the skilled nursing unit, kind of doing the admissions and charts and kind of getting that aspect of it all, working with the doctors. Then I transitioned to the administrative assistant to the director of nursing. And then I got my associate's degree in that time. Took me a long time, but I got it. And then I transitioned into the business office manager role for 10 years. So I spent a good portion of my career at the business office. And then during COVID, I decided that I felt like I needed more. I really missed the healthcare aspect side of, working in a retirement community. So I decided that I wanted to be an administrator. I wanted to get my administrator license. So in June of 2021, again, the organization said, we're here to support you. I had a mentor the whole time. I was able to step out of my role and focus on being that whole year for the Maryland program to obtain my nursing home administrator license, and I did in June of 2022. I came back from the administrator and training program as the nursing home administrator, and in August, and did it a year, and then the opportunity became for the executive director. So I stepped into that role of August of last year. So it's been a whole year, actually, on Monday. I celebrate. I was like, already.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I had a resident town hall this morning and thanked the residents for their support for the last year. And time flies when you're having fun. So that's kind of my progression at Heron Point in many different roles. But I will say, being in the administrator and training program, you rotate through all the departments. I mean, you have an idea of how that department operates, but when you step behind the scenes, for me, I appreciate and value all that they do behind, like I said, behind the scenes and what really goes on, because we all have our day to day, but to really respect what they do. So coming out of that, I think that's the most rewarding part of that. Was I learned so much about myself, for one, and then about other department directors and other team members to kind of build that relationship. So
yeah, that's wonderful. I'm sure that that's so helpful for you in your role today.
Oh, absolutely.
So what is the most rewarding part of your job?
That is a big question, because so many aspects of my job I love. But one of the most rewarding parts or aspects of my role as the executive director is the ability to create and nurture a positive environment for both our residents and team members. I find a lot of fulfillment in fostering a community where everyone, residents and team members alike, feel safe, valued, and engaged. Every day I get to witness that impact. From our community, from our team members, a supportive atmosphere that has on our residents and our quality of life. We do a lot of programming that encourages, physical activities, socialization. Residents form meaningful relationships and connections with each other and our team members. So that camaraderie kind of helps enhance everyone's overall well-being, which means a lot to me. I take a lot of pride, I said, in cultivating a positive workplace culture for our team. I believe that when a team member feels supported, appreciated, and part of a collaborative team, they're better equipped to provide exceptional care and attention to our residents that they deserve. And being able to witness these strong bonds of relationships really makes us part of that, reinforces the idea of that we're all part of a large family. And that's essentially like what I try to cultivate here at Heron Point.
It's wonderful. Are there, what makes you excited to come to work each day? Like when you wake up, and let's be honest, some mornings we wake up and we're like, I don't want to get out of bed. Like what gets you out of bed and gets you to Heron Point?
I always remember my why, my purpose. Every day is something new. It's never the same. I think work is what you make it. You come in with a positive mindset, you get positive results. I like the different challenges. I know that's a little crazy, but I love the challenges, whether, they really kind of allows me to grow, professionally and as a person too. And I learn a lot. I think every day we're learning something new. So that kind of is what motivates me. It's coming in and what's happening for the day and, the challenges that we kind of get through and watch us grow as a community. I think that's what motivates me.
Yeah. What are workforce development programs that you've seen be successful?
There's a lot of great programs that I know personally that I've experienced, just like myself, that are successful. One of the things that I did focus on, returning as the administrator and trying to, recruit and retain, licensed staff, partnering with the local high schools. I think relationships are imperative in workforce development. So the collaboration and allowing, students to come to Heron Point, job shadow, internships, where they can obtain their certification and then, say, hey, this is a really nice place to work. And just like myself, maybe that will strike something in them to say, I want to work with, older adults. So I think, collaboration with local agencies, high schools, is imperative. The other part of that would be partnering with universities, to allow team members, to continue their education, to support, get certifications, be exposed to, many different roles within, our industry. It's not just the executive director. It could be the finance side. It could be, the technology side. IT is ever growing. So I think that really opens a lot of doors and it's very successful. And I know I could speak for here at Heron Point that we've had many team members who have gotten their nursing license. We supported them throughout school, certifications, and watching them grow. So I think those are really the most important and successful ones, is that being able to have the opportunities there to, retain staff, but also recruit team members. Look, this is what we offer. I think those are really imperative in, workforce development programs.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. What advice would you give someone who's interested in progressing further in the field?
Wow. So for anyone that's looking to progress further in our field, I would say never be afraid to challenge yourself to something new. Always remember your why and your purpose, first and foremost. Reflect on what keeps you motivated every day. Seek out mentorship. Never stop learning and never give up. Engage yourself with industry events so you can keep up with all the ever-changing things that are going on in our industry. Pursue, your education, certifications, and, take initiative to lead those projects because you never know what opportunities are going to open for you. But most importantly, I will say networking and building relationships in this field can also open doors for opportunities. And I think those are the one key or some of the key things I would tell someone looking to kind of, progressing in the field. Like I said, if someone did not believe in me and say, hey, have you thought about this? I'm not sure if I would be here today. So I'm very blessed to have an organization that supports and fosters growth and has helped me progress in the field and learn a lot. So that's the advice I would give to someone.
Yeah, that's great. I guess one other question I have, which is not on our list, but in kind of finding that mentor or finding mentors, do you have any thoughts on that? Because sometimes somebody comes to us and like, I see something in you. But sometimes we have to be the ones to kind of initiate those relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll give an example for myself, because like I said, I guess I've been on that receiving end of that and wanting to give back. So in my mind, that's always a part of my fostering that positive, environment for team members and watching them to grow. I had a receptionist who had started when I was the business office manager. She transferred from a different department. So one day, as I was trying to get to know her a little bit, I said, hey, what's your plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And the response was, I'm not quite sure, I don't know how to answer that. And I said, have you ever considered going back to school, or what opportunities that we have here that can help you grow? And I said, well, if you could choose your career now, like what you would want to be, where would you see yourself? She said, I would love to be a social worker. I was like, okay. So, you have to initiate those conversations, as a mentor is seeking people out, letting them know what opportunities are there. Because if someone doesn't know, or if you don't share those, your own personal experiences, you don't connect with them to kind of want to like pursue a little further. Um, One thing I love to do is I always like to tell new team members coming in for an interview, I tell them my story very quick. I don't go into too long, but like, hey, I was a nursing assistant when I started here. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, and this was the career path I took, and took me a long time, but I got there. So I think we have to seek out those gems, as mentors, and say, hey, here's an opportunity that we'd like to present you with, and foster them. Sometimes they need a little bit of encouragement, but I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, that's such a good reminder.